Hi everyone, I'm Oliver. Welcome back to English Flash Talk. Today, we are going to talk about a frustrating topic. You study for years, you know the grammar, but your English still feels a bit artificial.
Hi guys, I'm Sophie. I hear this from learners all the time. They say, Sophie, I understand everything, but when I open my mouth, I sound like a dictionary.
The real reason for this isn't bad grammar, it's over-precision. Most learners are trying too hard to be perfect. They pronounce every single letter of every single word.
Over-precision. That is such a great way to put it. In a classroom, your teacher wants you to be clear. But in a real conversation, native speakers actually avoid perfection.
Exactly. We cut corners, we swallow sounds, we prioritize the meaning over the letters. If you pronounce the T at the end of every word, you sound very stiff.
So, if I say I want to go to the park, it sounds like I am reading a list. But if I say I want to go to the park, it sounds like a real person.
Precisely. Wanna and gonna are not slang. They are natural reflections of how English works. We contract and combine words to save energy and improve the flow.
It's all about the flow. If you stop between every word, you break the bridge of the sentence. Native speakers want to hear a stream, not a series of rocks.
A stream, not rocks. I love that. Today, we are going to show you how to stop being so correct and start being more natural.
I'm ready to unlearn some bad habits. Let's start with the first big mistake. Using too many formal words in casual situations.
One of the biggest reasons English sounds unnatural is because learners rely too much on formal vocabulary. They use academic words for everyday situations.
I know exactly what you mean, Oliver. I once heard a student say, I shall purchase some beverages for our gathering. It sounded so stiff, like a royal decree from the past.
Haha, I shall purchase beverages. That is exactly the trap. A native speaker would just say, I'm gonna get some drinks for the party.
Get and party. Those are much more common and comfortable. But in school, we are taught that get is a lazy word. Our teachers say, use a better word than get.
That is classic classroom advice. But in reality, get is the Swiss Army knife of English. We use it for everything. We get a cold, we get a job, we get home. If you avoid it, you sound like you are trying too hard.
So, by trying to use fancy words like acquire or obtain, I'm actually creating a barrier between me and the listener. I'm missing the vibe of the conversation.
Missing the vibe. Exactly. Natural English is economical. We choose the shortest, easiest path to the meaning. If you take the long road with big words, people lose interest.
It's like wearing a three-piece suit to a barbecue. You are well-dressed, but you look out of place. Everyone else is in t-shirts and jeans.
T-shirt English. I love that. Phrasal verbs are the t-shirts of English. Pick up, check out, hold on. These are the building blocks of a natural conversation.
But phrasal verbs are so difficult to memorize. There are thousands of them. How do we know which ones to use?
Don't try to memorize a list. Just listen to how we use them here. Every time you hear one, try to incorporate it into your next sentence.
Incorporate. See, I'm doing it again. I should say, try to use it.
Ha ha ha. You are learning fast, Sophie. Use it is much more natural. Now, let's move to the next point. Fillers and small sounds. Fillers. These are the small sounds and words like, well, like, and you know. In school, they tell you to avoid them because they make you sound hesitant.
I remember that. My teacher used to say, stop saying and all the time. It felt like a crime to pause or think while speaking.
But in real life, a perfectly clean sentence with zero fillers sounds, well, it sounds pre-recorded. It lacks the human touch. Native speakers use fillers to buy time to think.
So, if I say, well, I think, it's a good idea, I sound more natural than if I just bark out the answer like a machine?
Exactly. Fillers are like cushions for your sentences. They soften the delivery. If you jump into a sentence with zero preparation, it can feel a bit aggressive or abrupt.
Abrupt. That is exactly how I feel when I speak too fast and too correctly. It's like I'm firing words at the other person.
Firing words. Ha ha. Nobody wants that. Using well at the start of a sentence signals to the listener that you are thinking. It gives them time to prepare for your answer.
So, well is like a warning light. It says, wait, I'm about to say something. I love that. It removes the pressure to be instant.
It really does. And you know is a great way to check if the other person is following you. It creates a connection. It makes the conversation a shared experience.
A shared experience. But Oliver, can I use too many fillers? I don't want to sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
That is a valid point. You need a balance. If you say like every 2 words, it becomes distracting, but using them strategically is a sign of high-level fluency.
Strategic fillers. That sounds like a sophisticated skill. I'm going to practice my wells and you knows in the next block.
Keep them subtle, because next we have to discuss how native speakers actually structure their thoughts. Now, let's talk about sentence structure. In a textbook, you learn to start with the subject. I am going to the movies. It's clear, but it's a bit predictable.
Predictable. That is exactly what I want to avoid. I want to surprise the listener. I want to keep them engaged.
Exactly. Native speakers often delay the most important information. We build a bit of suspense. Instead of saying I am tired, we say, you know, after working all day, I'm actually pretty exhausted.
Oh, I see what you did there. You put the result at the very end. It makes the listener wait for the punchline.
The punchline. That is exactly it. If you give the answer in the first second, the conversation is over. But if you frame it with a little bit of context, it feels more natural.
So instead of saying the food was bad, I could say, well, to be honest, I didn't really enjoy the meal. It's a longer path, but it sounds more polite and fluid.
It really does. This is called end focus. We save the new or important information for the end of the phrase. This helps the listener remember the most important part.
End focus. That sounds like a professional technique. It's about how we distribute the weight of the sentence. If the weight is at the beginning, it falls flat.
Exactly. Think of it like a gift. You don't just hand someone a toy, you wrap it in paper. The extra words are the wrapping. They make the gift more special.
Wrapping my English. I love that. But Oliver, sometimes I worry that I am talking too much if I add all this extra context.
Don't worry about that. Conversational English is not about speed or brevity. It's about connection. Taking the time to frame your thoughts shows that you are comfortable in the language.
Comfortable. That is the goal. I'm starting to realize that natural English is more emotional than logical.
It truly is. And next, we have to talk about how to agree and disagree without sounding like a robot. One of the quickest ways to stop sounding robotic is to stop using yes and no as your only answers. In real English, we rarely use just one word to respond. It feels cold or boring.
I totally agree. See what I did there? I didn't just say yes. I said I totally agree. It adds a layer of personality to the conversation.
Exactly. We use modifiers like totally, definitely, absolutely, or for sure. These words show the intensity of your opinion. If you just say yes, I don't know if you really agree or if you are just being polite.
Absolutely. That is a powerful word. And what about disagreeing? In school, we learn to say I disagree. But that sounds very direct and almost a bit rude in a casual chat.
It does sound a bit aggressive. A natural speaker will soften the blow. We say, well, I'm not so sure about that, or I see your point. But maybe it's about being diplomatic.
So, diplomacy is a part of natural English. You don't just crash into the other person's idea. You walk around it gently. I like that approach.
It's much more effective. Another great response is, I bet. If someone tells you a story about a long day, you can say, I bet. It shows that you empathize with them.
I bet. It's short, it's cool, and it sounds very native. It's much better than saying, I understand that you are tired.
Ha ha. I understand that you are tired. Sounds like a doctor talking to a patient. I bet sounds like a friend talking to a friend. This is the difference between correct and natural.
It's all about the relationship. Natural English builds a bridge between people. It's not just data transfer, it's emotional connection.
Emotional connection. That is exactly why we learn languages. Now, let's wrap this up with a final thought on how to practice all of this. So, we've covered a lot of ground today, from ditching the formal dictionary words to using fillers and softening your responses. But how do you actually start doing this?
That's the big question, Oliver. It's hard to change your habits overnight. I think the best way is to pick just one thing. Maybe this week, you only focus on using well or get more often.
That is perfect advice. Don't try to be a new person in one day. Just observe how native speakers use small words. Notice the pauses. Notice the rhythm.
And don't be afraid to sound imperfect. Remember, perfection is actually what makes you sound weird. Being natural means being okay with a little bit of messiness.
Embrace the messiness. I love that. When you let go of the fear of making a mistake, your true personality shines through your English.
What an eye-opening episode, Oliver. I feel like I have permission to be more human and less like a textbook.
You absolutely do. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of English Flash Talk. We hope these insights help you feel more at home in your conversations.
We believe in your progress. If one of these tips really clicked for you today, let us know in the comments below. We love to hear how you are growing.
And if you enjoyed this lesson, please give us a like and share it with a friend who wants to sound more natural.
Subscribe for more flashes of real English. We are here to help you find your voice in a global world.
Keep flowing, stay relaxed, and don't forget to enjoy the process.
We'll see you in the next flash. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.